One tip I will give you guys is to use an old belt. So as you can see, we got a significant drop in the front. What's going on, guys? It's Toby here, and welcome back to a brand new YouTube video. Today we're going to be installing some BMR lowering springs on the Camaro. So it's going to give it about a 0.75 inch or 3/4 of an inch drop in the front and back. I think they're in the rear seat, so they're actually red. But anyways, before we do so, I just want to put on these V2 Euros. And if you guys want to check them out, use code Toby on S550 Euros. But we're going to check out what they look like on the Clout Stangs.
And like we just started walking, and they're like, S550 Euros, you know what I'm saying?
What the heck, John? So anyways, I literally don't have Sally because I'm not allowed to have two cars at my apartment. So we're gonna have to use Clout Stang as the demo car. Then when this car gets dropped off for the Whipple and the boost cam at Jay's shop, we're gonna pick up Sally and install the version 2 Euros on her. So John's car is the demo car. Let's get a cold start on the freaking Clout Stang. The trans is still blown. Currently, John has the Clout light set up, so that consists of the 2 tinted tail lights. What was that? Bro, it was a huge bug. Yeah. So yeah, those are stock tail lights. He doesn't have Euros. We're gonna throw on the V2s, which are right over there. Let's get to it. John said he's got to grow on him for a little bit, but I think they'll look really cool when we throw them on the Clout Stangs. So one more time with those stock tail lights. Let's throw them in. All right, we're gonna take this off, and then pretty much there's bolts on the backside of the stock tail lights. So there's four bolts holding that. If you guys want a tutorial as to how you can basically change out your tail lights, I will link one in the left-hand corner of the screen. We did that a very long time ago with the version 1 Euros. Bro, this has got to be a 10-2. Okay, never mind. It was not coming out, that third bolt. That's all the way behind the trunk liner, but now it is.
So basically he's got a 10mm deep dish, and he's just taking out the 3 bolts for these tail lights. And once they come off, we'll be ready to put the V2s. I think they're right in there.
Right in there.
Right in there, mate.
We're like, let's film it.
Removing the tail light. We got all 3 10mm deep dish bolts in the back. Yank it out. Oh my gosh, what's in there?
Get it in, John.
We need an adapter.
Now we're gonna slide in the V2 version. We got it all plugged in. All right, John, hit the lights. Ooh. So they're more pink. They're not as red. See that? It's pretty cool. Yeah! It's a clear difference between the Euros, the V2s, and the design with like the, I don't even know what to call that, but those bars inside. And then if we look at the other side, there's your stock taillight. So your V1 Euros take after the stock form. They don't have any cool design like that. Woo. So they are a little bit dimmer than your stock taillights. They also are pinker as compared to that. I think it's like
pink.
Yeah, it's Starburst pink, right?
Yo!
Yeah.
We're gonna cough a little.
Totally forgot to show the turn signals, so go ahead, John. Left. That's pretty sick. And then show the factory turn signal. And hit the hazards. That's pretty sick. We're back from our 16-hour road trip.
10 hours later, we didn't make it. We got 10 hours to go. Toby wants to touch me every night. His feet. The dog did unspeakable things in that bathroom. And I'm so hungry.
But we're gonna go ahead and do the lowering springs now. So we got the front wheel off, and now we're gonna take out the strut. So I'm gonna show you guys exactly how you can do this at home or replicate the job. And I think you need a 21 wrench for the nut side, or actually, yeah, that's correct. So on this side, you need a 21 wrench, and then on this side, you need a 24. All right, it worked. So we have the 21 right here. This is the 21 wrench. You're gonna put it on the back side. There is 2 of them that you need to use. And then we're gonna take the torque wrench. This is the 24mm socket. You're gonna hit it on this side. So now I'm also removing a bunch of 10mm bolts. This one's for the brake line. It's right here. Then you have one on the inside right here for the wheel speed sensor. You'll see a black wire, just follow it. But it's this black wire right here, so follow it. And then your last one is up here, it's an 18 millimeter. Now we're gonna go ahead and remove the top one. So 21 millimeter again. This is what I was talking about in that previous clip. So you have that 10 millimeter right here for the brake line. Then you also have a 10 millimeter right here for the speed sensor. It literally just pops right out. That's your speed sensor. It finally came out.
Bolt pack.
So we loosened it with the socket and then we hit it with a hammer and a piece of wood. You just gotta hammer these out and they'll literally come flying out. Awesome.
It's gonna go, and I'm dead.
Now we're gonna take care of the top. So these are your bolts to the strut. It's a 13 mil. We do need to pay attention to the orientation of how this goes in, like when we pull it out. Here comes your strut with the spring. So you have these two markers here that'll tell you how it goes in, but just for reference, that's how I got it in. So I'm gonna remember that. I'm also gonna remember how this looks with the rubber boot and everything. All right. If you guys wanna know which spring compressor tool I used, it's from Amazon. I will link it down in the description below. But now you need to basically have it clamp on each side of the spring, and then you tighten it down with the impact to compress the spring. So now that it's fully compressed, you can go to the top of the strut assembly, and there is a nut in there. It's an 18. So we're gonna use the impact on loosen. Right, we actually had to stop this metal part from spinning with an old belt. We wrapped it around there, but now the boot should come apart. So you just need to remember the orientation of which way it went and everything. You actually want to repeat the same process of compressing the spring to put in a new one. All right, so we put the strut back in, we tighten the bolts. We're gonna look up the torque spec for that. I'm not sure of it yet. And now we're putting in, we're reattaching the rotor to the strut. So we're gonna use the same bolts, same process, and then we're gonna repeat on the other side.
So we paused the job halfway through. Because we had to make a trip.
The old spring that we just took out, and now Toby's doing this to torque spec. What was it, 25?
21 foot-pound, but we don't have the proper size, so I'm gonna guess it right there.
21 Ugga Duggas. And we got that new spring in there in case y'all haven't seen it already. This is the old one.
Daddy? We're gonna try and torque this, dude. The angle is just so bad. Top is 50 foot-pound, the bottom bolt is 110. Dude, what are we gonna do? Now we're gonna drop it, so we're gonna see. The suspension still has to settle a good amount, but we can compare it. Yeah, the suspension's all unsettled. Finished up with the one side right here. I'm not gonna show you guys how we're doing the other. I'm just gonna time lapse it because it's pretty self-explanatory. But you can see the drop. So we don't have that much clearance anymore. When I get a bigger tire on there, it'll be more snug. The wheel is more tucked now. Now if we walk over here, you can compare it to the other side. Obviously, there's a pretty big difference right there. One tip I will give you guys is to use an old belt and wrap it around the strut or whatever that is inside of there, and just pull it taut while you loosen and tighten that nut on the top. So go ahead. So for the rear, we're gonna lift it by the diff, put 2 jack stands on each side, and then we're gonna remove the wheels and get the back springs in. I'm gonna show you guys which ones you need to loosen and completely remove. So you have, you need to remove those 2 completely, the ones on the bottom, point to it, that one, and then you need to loosen this and the one over there behind the muffler. Also gonna need to completely remove that black cover that you see that John is messing with right now. So it's just a bunch of pop clips. All right, this is an 18. This is the one you have to completely remove. You have to completely remove this, loosen this, and then loosen the one on the underside. But this one is stubborn. You can't use an impact on it. Well, you can if you had a swivel, but we don't. So for this bottom bolt, you're gonna have to hold the nut on the other side. It's a 3/4. It's not slipping, right?
No.
In the tutorial that we watched, the guy kept telling us, do not release that second bolt unless you have something supporting that part of the suspension. So that's exactly why we have the jack there. So I'm gonna recommend you guys do the same thing because he said the spring will shoot out if you have nothing pushing on it. Now we can go ahead and release a little bit of that pressure there. You actually can't drop the rear spring out. Nice, John.
Thanks.
Without loosening those two in the back. So it was literally impossible. We tried to do it without it, but here's the difference in height between the stock, which is on the left, and then the BMR on the right. And you also want to make sure that you keep track of how those rubber pieces went in. Finished up the other side. It got way too dark and we only have one extension cord. We use that for the impact, but I will have to show the final result tomorrow because it is way too dark. So I'll catch you guys tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, it is officially the next day, so the suspension has settled out, and I'll walk around to this side because we have a little bit more lighting. So as you can see, we got a significant drop in the front. You guys obviously saw what it looked like before. In the rear, I do see the biggest difference, and I'm kind of scared that it's gonna scrape when I hit speed bumps. Looking at it from the rear, you can see it really tucks up nice. So that front wheel still needs to be a little bit bigger. I'm rocking a 235 on there. I need like a 285, that's what I was looking at, or maybe a 275. But I do need an alignment on this car after doing this spring install. So don't expect to do something like this, like I did, and not get an alignment. And I'll show you guys exactly why in just a second. I know a lot of people are gonna be interested to know if there's a noticeable difference in ride quality. And honestly, it feels the same to me. So I'm not feeling like it's any rougher, how some people feel with like the iBack Pro lowering springs, but I mean, that's like a 2-inch drop, so that could explain why. I don't feel any sort of like stiffness or anything like that. All right, ready? Check this out. Look at where the freaking steering wheel is. It's completely crooked, but the car is going straight. So I need an alignment because we took out the bolts in the rear and I feel like that shifted the whole steering wheel and everything. So that's a simple fix. It just needs to go to an alignment shop and we're set and ready to go. Also wanted to show you guys one more time before we pack up this video. You can see that there's actually like a crazy amount of drop in the front. I mean, you guys know John's freaking driveway, and I used to be able to tank the driveway in this thing, and now I really have to go slow. We're gonna go ahead and close out this video. If you guys enjoyed it, please remember to comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.